Welcome back, everyone. This is part 3 in the video series. In this video, I'm going to show you how to level, tort, and fill your cake. And if you want to watch the first and second videos in the series, I'll have the links up here. So now our cake is completely cooled off, and we want to remove the cling wrap, the saran wrap, whatever you want to call it. This is where we would want to get our cake boards, cake circles. I like to use acrylic discs. They're just sturdier, and I have had them special made for me from a local person, but you can find them online, like on Etsy, I believe. So these are an optional thing that you can use, or you can use a basic cake circle. I'll show you how to use the cake circle. With this one, you put it on top of your cake, flip it over, and remove the parchment. So my cake turned out actually pretty level, so I would typically just leave it as is, but in order to show you if you did have somewhat of a dome top and you wanted to make that level, I'm using a tool from Wilton. Now I do have a little bit of a low spot on my cake, so I'll go ahead and level my cake from this point and cut that part off. But in order to get the height that we need, we're gonna put these little feet right next to the cake and figure out where these marks on here would go in order to get to the lowest part of the top of the cake. I'm wanting to move the wire up to the number 4 in order to take off the top and make that level. So now my wire is at the exact height that I want it, and you just put it level on the table, put your hand on the top of the cake to keep it secure, and you start sawing, make a sawing motion. And it will just take off what is needed. As you can see, my cake was already pretty level, so it only took off this little bit right here. Now I'm going to show you how to tort your cake. And torting is simply cutting your cake in half in order to allow an extra level of icing to go on later when we put the icing. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So now we want to readjust this wire to the halfway point of our cake. Now torting your cake is basically the same thing that we did to level it. So we're going to start with a sawing motion. We're going to place our hand on the top of the cake just to hold it in place, and then begin our sawing motion. As you're coming to the end of the cake, I like to put my hand here so that it doesn't rip out a big chunk of cake, to just kind of press against that wire until it cuts through. Now that we have our cake torted and cut through, we want to move that top layer onto its own cake circle. So we are going to just gently lift up and put the cake board right under, and it should slide on very easily. Now that you have that cake put on the extra cake circle, you have a torted cake and you're ready to fill and stack your cakes. Okay, so now we get to fill our cake layers with the chocolate icing that we made in the previous video. And we're getting closer to being able to taste this. I'm so excited. So let's grab a big, we're just gonna scoop the icing and plop it right on the center of the first layer of cake. Probably about a cup of icing, and smooth that out. Now I like to use this offset spatula. It just makes it really a lot easier to smooth this on. And we want to try to get this layer of icing as smooth as possible, because our ultimate goal, remember, is for everything to be level and straight so that our finished icing will be perfect and smooth and with those sharp edges that are so desirable. All right, so we're moving on to the next layer. So let's grab our cake. I like to layer my cakes with the cut edge up so it has that super sharp edge there. So I'm just gonna slide this off. Put it on top of there. All right, and now with this layer on, I'm gonna take and smooth out the icing, kind of filling in those little gaps between the layers. And we're going to do the same thing. Plop some icing on there. And smooth it out. Now that we have our layers stacked up and filled, we're going to put a crumb coat on. The crumb coat locks in the crumbs, so when we do our final coat, those crumbs are not getting in there. And that's how you level, torte, fill, and crumb coat your cake. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to get a beautiful, smooth finish with your icing and also how to achieve super sharp edges on your cake. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.